Hello, my sweet summer children. I have brought you some juice to get you through the long night. If you are new to my channel, please take a moment and join the sweet summer family by clicking on that subscribe button. Also, today, there were some photos released from Season 7. I posted them on Instagram and Twitter, and a few of my friends in the Game of Thrones community did cover the photos, and I'll link their videos in the description box. So if you haven't seen them yet, I got you covered. But anyway, one of the focal points in Game of Thrones or A Song of Ice and Fire is this ugly, twisted, massive throne made of the swords of Aegon the Conqueror's enemies. The throne on the TV show is about 1/4 the size of what the actual throne looks like. The actual throne is massive, and it is said to have taken 10,000 swords to make it. The swords were heated and forged by the dragon fire of Valyrian the Black Dread, and it took the blacksmiths 59 days of hammering. The Iron Throne is monstrous to look upon. Maegor the Cruel was murdered, not by a man, but by that chair, the Iron Throne. He was found alone in the throne room, covered in blood. His wrists were opened from the blades on the chair. Maybe he did do it himself, but no doubt, if he did do it himself, it was because of the weight of sitting in that chair. Mad King Aerys was always stabbing and scraping himself on the throne, causing him to have scabs all over his body. We know the chair is about 300 years old, and I'm going to say it right now. This isn't tinfoil. That throne isn't regular iron or steel. That throne is Valyrian steel. Now, I know some of y'all are like, Gray, chill out with this Valyrian steel throne shit, girl. But I have the evidence, y'all. Well, at least I think I do. So, we're told the Iron Throne is made from iron swords. And the iron swords are 300 years old. So, the thing about iron is, it almost always oxidizes and turns to rust. And from rust, it turns to dust. In Game of Thrones, we have a passage by Ned, and it says, "By ancient custom, an iron longsword had been laid across the lap of each who had been Lord of Winterfell, to keep vengeful spirits in their crypts. The oldest had long ago rusted away to nothing, leaving only a few red stains where the metal had rusted on the stone." So in our book, we have an example of an iron sword rusting to dust. This is in the crypts of Winterfell. Winterfell is not on any body of water. They have the hot springs, and I'm sure the crypts may get damp from all the snow, but the Iron Throne is in King's Landing in the Red Keep, and the Red Keep sits right on Blackwater Bay. Now, why does water matter? Well, given time and oxygen and water, any iron mass will eventually convert entirely to rust and disintegrate. With that said, from my research, there are ways to slow the process or try to prevent rust, but those ways are kind of modern technologies and maybe too advanced for this time period. I think you can use like rust-resistant alloys, galvanization, coatings or paintings, inhibitors, or humidity control. But I don't think those things were available back then, but correct me if I'm wrong. Iron also doesn't keep its edge long. We see whetstones used throughout the story to sharpen blades, but the throne has been sharp enough to kill Maegor and put scabs all over King Aerys, so these swords have kept their edge for 300 years, and they haven't rusted. Now, the making of Valyrian steel is a process that we don't know the secrets of. Or do we? Has it been in front of our face the whole time? Firstly, Valyrian steel was made in Valyria before the Doom, and the process of making Valyrian steel was lost in the Doom. Some say the process had to do with magical spells and dragon fire. Valyrian steel can cut through armor and can cut a lesser sword in half. We also know Valyrian steel can kill White Walkers. We also know Valyrian steel is more resistant to rust, if not completely rust resistant, because Euron Greyjoy has a full suit of Valyrian armor that he found in the ruins of Valyria, and the Doom of Valyria was 1,000 years ago. Valyrian steel is priceless. Valyrian steel swords are family heirlooms of great houses. Ice of House Stark, Heartsbane of House Tarly, Blackfire and Dark Sister of House Targaryen, Bright Roar, the Lost Sword of House Lannister, and Longclaw, the Valyrian steel sword of House Mormont that was given to Jon. With that said, no, I don't think the swords on the Iron Throne started out as Valyrian steel. I think they were just swords. But hear me out. In A Feast for Crows, Sam and Jon are talking. I found one account of the Long Night that spoke of the last hero slaying others with a blade of dragon steel. Supposedly they could not stand against it. Dragon steel? Jon frowned. Valyrian steel? That was my first thought as well. So if I can just convince the lords of the Seven Kingdoms to give us their Valyrian blades, all is saved. That won't be hard. Sam refers to Valyrian steel as dragon steel. Well, what if there is no secret spell to Valyrian steel and the only secret is dragon fire? The only thing that changes a regular sword to a Valyrian steel sword is dragon fire. The only thing that makes a Valyrian steel sword is being forged in dragon fire. If that is the case, then for sure Balerion the Black Dread's fire changed those regular swords to Valyrian steel. But what's so special about dragon fire? The dragons have extremely hot fire. Actually, the older the dragon, the hotter the fire. And Balerion the Black Dread, his fire was as black as his scales. Balerion was old. He was born in Valyria and was one of the 5 dragons that Aenar Targaryen took with him to Dragonstone. What if the secret process that was used to make Valyrian steel wasn't magic at all? It was just about getting the temperature to the height that regular fire couldn't reach. With all that being said, I'm sure dragons are magic at the end of the day. Also, Valyrian steel is said to be darker than normal steel. The throne looks dark in the show version. You know, I can't leave out history, but in the real world, Valyrian steel resembles Damascus steel. And Damascus steel was made in the 18th century, and the original method of making it was lost in the 1700s. So Valyrian steel is another page out of real-world history. From my research, they think Damascus steel was cast from woots. Woots was made in India over 2,000 years ago. Cast woot steel was made by melting together iron and steel together with charcoal under a little to no oxygen atmosphere. Under these conditions, the metal absorbed carbon from charcoal. Slow cooling of the alloy resulted in crystalline material containing carbide. So Balerion heated the swords with his charcoal black fire, and the hammering took 59 days. So it is very possible the swords stayed hot for 59 days, which would lead to slow cooling. Now, we know oxygen is one of the main components of fire, but so there are these bugs called bombardier beetles, and they can produce a chemical reaction from their abdomens, and they basically blow this boiling snot chemical compound on other insects. This is the closest thing in the real world I could find to an actual fire-breathing animal. But maybe, not knowing much about dragon anatomy, physiology, but maybe the dragons have a chemical reaction like an accelerant in their bodies that creates their fire, and oxygen isn't needed in their fires. Maybe. So we have a throne that doesn't rust. It's still sharp, forged for 59 days in dragon fire of Balerion the Black Dread, and I think it's Valyrian steel. I also think it's quite possible that Gendry is going to reforge all that Valyrian steel into weapons to fight the White Walkers. I hope you liked this video. Let me know what your thoughts are on this particular theory. I'm sure I'm not the first to think it could be Valyrian steel, and I'm sure some of you think I am crazy. If it is Valyrian steel, how would they find out that it is Valyrian steel, and will someone destroy it in order to use it to fight the others? Thank you guys for watching. As always, like this video if you like it. You can connect with me on these social medias. Click that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you can become a sweet summer child. Okay, my sweet summer children. Have a great day.